Om Shri Sai Ram. Loving Sarams to all and welcome to today's session. We are honored to have with us Sri Vijay Krishnan sir, the Tamil Nadu State South State Vice President, Sri Sathya Seva Organizations, Tamil Nadu, who will be our moderator for today's meeting. I would like to request Sri Vijay Krishnan sir to take over as our moderator and introduce and welcome our esteemed guest speakers for today's session. Saram sir. Over to you, sir.
Om Shri Sai Ram, offering our loving reverential pranams at Bhagawan's lotus feet. Respected Zonal President Sir, at the outset I invite all the participants today, the media persons who have been in touch with the public and who has a great onerous task to convey the message of Bhagawan. For today's session, we have two speakers, and it is once again my privilege to introduce both of them. First will be Shri Sudheer Bhaskar sir. Presently, he actually heads the Sri Sathya Sai Center for Human Values, which is a pivotal organization that is engaged in research and spread of Bhagawan's message. Previous to that, he was the director of Sri Sathya Sai Media Center. Before that, he was faculty member and dean of management department in Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. He had even more than a couple of decades in the institute as faculty. He had a very close interactions with Bhagawan, always been following him, and he has been getting across the teachings of Bhagawan in his pristine form to us. Sir has done his engineering degree from REC Warangal, then he did MTech from IIT Madras, and he did his doctorate from IIM Bangalore. Then he had a job in R&D department, R&D center of Jyoti Limited, Baroda. Then he was working with systems engineering and cybernetic center at TCS. And he has been faculty to many reputed institutions, educational as well as training. So it is our great privilege today that we will be hearing from Sir his views and his expression on Bhagawan's message. He will be accompanied by another member from Sri Sathya Sai Center for Human Values, Amey Deshpande, who has been a prolific speaker, spreading the message of Bhagawan. He has been with Bhagawan in educational institutions of Bhagawan from his primary school till he completed his college. Actually, he finished his doctorate in 2015 management in Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. So he's completed his complete educational profile with Bhagawan himself. He's also a reputed Bhajan group member. Presently, he is also involved in the same Sri Sathya Sai Center for Human Values. So today, they will be addressing you all, we all, and it is a privilege that we will be hearing the message of Bhagawan from persons who have been very closely associated physically also when Bhagawan was with his earthly form. I invite both the speakers. Sirs, the floor is yours. Sai Ram.
We will all begin with SSSSCHV chanting. Om साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Offering our loving pranams at the lotus feet of our ever-present, omniscient Lord, revered Director Sir, Mukundan Sir, Vijay Krishnan Sir, and all brothers and sisters, welcome to this evening's satsang, which is termed as Insights for all the media persons especially. And today we will start by me making a presentation to you, and we would love for it to be a discussion rather than just a one-way traffic. And so possibly towards the end of the session, if you have any comments or observations or questions, we can take that up. And as we are discussing, we will also request Sudheer Bhaskar sir to pitch in with his valuable insights. So let me start off this session. And I would like to start this session by taking you to Kodaikanal in the year 2005. So I'm sure most of you know that Kodaikanal is a hill station. It's a beautiful kind of a hill resort. And Bhagawan has his residence over there, which is called Sai Shruti. And every year for decades, since the early 70s, in fact, he would visit Ooty and Kodaikanal. And one of the most riveting parts of his journey would be that the proximity that one would have with Bhagawan, whether it is devotees or students or staff who traveled with him, it was a very different kind of proximity that one experienced of Bhagawan. And some of the most privileged souls who traveled with Swami were a selected few students that he would select himself, who would accompany him and who had the singular privilege of actually sharing the same accommodation with Bhagawan. See, such was Swami's openness and his magnanimity that literally we all used to live in the Sai Shruti. There was just a wall that would differentiate or be a barrier, so to speak, between Swami and all of us. So much so that we could, Swami would be disturbed by our snoring, if at all. And so all the snorers were asked to sleep on the ground floor, and only the non-snorers, that was a qualification to sleep on the same level as Bhagawan. So such was the divine proximity that one could enjoy. So I had the privilege of traveling with Swami in 2005. And the interactions over there can absolutely range from what are called divine chit chats. There's nothing worldly about Bhagawan, right? Everything that falls out of his mouth is divine, and therefore it could be as simple as discussing the recipe for a chutney or for a sambar, and right up to the greatest Vedantic truths that would come out, and this could happen literally side by side. As he is describing some chutney, the next line could be a Vedantic insight. So one evening, we all were waiting for the evening session, the evening bhajans that would happen in Sai Shruti. And Swami was, typically one gets to see the backside, kind of behind the scenes of how Swami would be. Typically everywhere else, whether it was Vrindavan or Prashanthi Nilayam, we would be outside and we will wait for Swami to emerge from his residence. But this was an opportunity for some students to see what happens actually before he goes out for darshan. And believe me, as much excitement as the devotees would have for his darshan, even more, if not the same, would be the excitement of Swami to come out for darshan, to go out and see his devotees. So, typically he will ask, Chudu, see whether devotees have come or not. Is the hall full or not? Right? I mean, as if he does not know. But once again, you see, there is always a message there. So he had asked the All India president back then, our respected V. Srinivasan sir, to go and check in the bhajan hall. So he came back and he said, Swami, everybody is waiting for you, meaning the hall is full and it's jam packed. And then Swami turned to all of us, all the students, and say, Chudra, chudu, yanta devotion. See how much devotion people have. Devotees wait for hours together just for a glimpse. And typically, this would be what Swami will say, also to tell us that, look at you fellows. I'm giving you so much and you have no, you don't have any, you take it for granted. You have no respect for what I'm giving. Look at those devotees. And typically, that is what would follow. But on this day, it was very different, because as soon as he said, see the devotion, and then he took a few steps and then he turned back and said, but I am not interested in your devotion. Now that was like that was a little bit of a googly that Swami threw, because the moment he said, and very seriously he said, I am not interested in devotion, I was thinking, if God is not interested in devotion, then what is he interested in? Right? For us, we know that Bhagawan always wants bhakti. Okay. And then Swami, few seconds later, Swami said, I want transformation. I don't want your devotion. I want transformation. And so what is the difference between devotion and transformation? Swami went on to just add one line, before he retired. He kind of went into his room and then came out. He said, devotion vastundi potundi kani transformation okkasari vaste adi pergutundi. That is, devotion can come and go, but transformation, once it comes, it only grows. Okay. Now these are very, very crucial words for us to hold on to. You see, in our country, and for that matter in the world at large, there is no dearth of devotion. Okay. In our own country, we have almost as many temples as there are human beings, right? Almost literally, at least. I'm exaggerating, but if probably for every 10 people in the country, there is one place of worship. It could be a church, a mosque, a gurudwara, a temple, what have you, right? So there is, and usually all of these temples are always jam-packed, right? You wonder, where are these people coming from, right? You go to Tirupati, you have to wait for 16 hours. You go to Shirdi, you have to wait for 3 hours. You go anywhere, Badrinath, Vaishno Devi, Kamakhya, Somnath, Kanyakumari, anywhere you go, and there is a long line of devotees waiting to have the Lord's darshan. But Swami is telling that I don't want that. So there is no dearth of devotion, but Swami is telling I don't want that, because the moment we take the about turn or the U-turn after having seen the deity, that is where our devotion ends. And the moment we step out of the sanctum sanctorum, we are back to our old ways. All our old ways of life, they come streaming back into us as if the temple visit never happened. Right? So Swami is saying that I don't want that. What I want is transformation. Right? And so taking this as the theme, and because we are all in the business of kind of reaching out to people, right? Our business is to take the message. So therefore today, let us try and contemplate a little bit on what is his message. Now I'm sure someone like Vijay Krishnan sir and Mukundan sir over here are more than capable of delivering the same message, because the message is the same. In fact, they will be far more efficient than us. And therefore, at the cost of being repetitive, I will once again go through this presentation. However, we will try to get some more insights into it. Having said that, let me now start the presentation. Yes. So I think you should be able to see the presentation. Are you able to see the presentation? I guess not. Yeah. So to begin with, I would like to start with probably one of the most seminal letters or seminal documents that we have from the Sathya Sai avatar. Now, once again, to begin this, to tell you about the story, we often, tell about this letter, saying this is the letter in which Swami outlined his mission, right? Oftentimes, we talk about Swami's mission. Now, you see, an avatar, really does not have a mission, okay? In fact, once when he was asked, Swami, I want to give, I want to be a part of your mission. I want to give my life for your mission. Swami said, my mission? What is my mission? Right? There is Bhagawan, or the avatar does not have a mission, because this entire universe is just his play. Remember that he is, as written in the Lalita Sahasranamam, he is Lalitambika Maha Tripura Sundari. That is, Lalita simply means the playful one. It is said that in her play, as if by mistake she created the entire universe. Okay, the entire universe for the avatar is just a matter of play, and therefore they don't have any mission, so to speak. In fact, Swami said, make me a part of your mission. What is your mission? To define that is why an avatar comes, right? To tell us that we have a mission on this great grand, this great grand plan that the Lord has in this universe. We have a very, very important role and mission to play. Having said that, in the 1947 letter that Swami wrote to his brother, he writes 5 beautiful sentences, and so we will just quickly listen to those. It's in the form of a beautiful song, and so we will listen to that. I hope that the audio is clear. Wonderful.
అఖిల మానవులకు ఆనందమునగూర్చి రక్షించుచుండుటే దీక్ష నాకు సన్మార్గమును వీడి చరించు వారల పట్టి కాపాడుటే వ్రతము నాకు. బీద సాదలకైన పెనుబాధ తొలగించి లేమిని బాపుటే ప్రేమ నాకు. నియమనిష్టలతోడ నను గొల్చు వారిని కాపాడుచుండుటే ఘనత నాకు. మంచి చెడ్డలు కూడా మనసులో సమముగా భావించుచుండుటే భక్తి నాకు.
So this is the beautiful, the beautiful padyam that he has written, and this is the meaning. So on, Akhila Manavulaku Anandamuna Gurchi, he says that to foster for all mankind, Akhila Manavulaku Anandamuna Gurchi. So he is saying that this is my task. What is my task? To ensure a life full of bliss. Right? The second line is to lead all those who stray away from the right path again into goodness and save them. That is the vow I have. Right? And so these are absolutely poignant statements, each of which can actually become a theme for an entire talk. Right? And how Swami has very structured in a very methodical way, he has gone about achieving or showing us the way of how he went about doing each of this. Right? However, today what we will focus on is this second one. Sanmargamunu Vidi Patti Kapadute Vratamunaku. Right? He's saying that to lead all those who stray away from the straight path again into goodness and save them. That is my vow. Okay, that is my vratam. He's saying. And he's saying literally, Patti Kapadute. Okay, that is, he's saying, I will hold them. I'm not just going to lead them, I'm going to hold them and I'm going to take them, forward. Right? So now the question that probably comes to our mind is, or rather that should come to my mind, to your mind, which definitely came to my mind, was what is this goodness? Right? The question, and I tend to be a kind of, this, I would say, pseudo-intellectual in that sense, to ask, Swami, why do you feel that we are not on the straight path? Right? And what is this goodness that you are going to lead us onto? Right? So today, let us spend a little time contemplating on what is this goodness. Okay? So, what is goodness? So now let me take you back about 7,000 years, 5,000 years back to the Mahabharata. Right? There is a beautiful episode of the Bhagavad Gita. We all know about that. Now the question was, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is exactly doing what he did today in the 21st century. When he said, Sanmargamunu Vidi Taralinchu, I forget those exact words, but Patti Kapadute Vratamunaku, he's saying. And that's exactly what Krishna did for Arjuna. Right? Arjuna was losing his way, and so the Lord caught hold of him, told him, come on, you have to fight this battle. Right? Now the point being that, was Arjuna already not good? Right? What was the need to transform a person who was already good? Right? In fact, if there was one person who needed transformation, it was Duryodhana. So why did Bhagavad Gita not be given to Duryodhana, and why was it given to Arjuna? I'm sure if this question has not come to your mind, I have tickled this question into your mind. Right? Arjuna was already a good person. In fact, he was one of the best. He does not want to fight. Okay, if there was some person to whom buddhi should have been told, it is Duryodhana. Now you will be surprised to know that Krishna did try. Lord Krishna did try to tell the Gita to Duryodhana. Right? When he had gone as the peace ambassador just before the war, when he goes to Hastinapur, it is said that one evening Duryodhana is taking a stroll in the garden, and so is Krishna, and they both happen to meet each other. And at that point, Krishna tries to tell Duryodhana, come on, Duryodhana, you know that whatever you have done so far is only injustice, injustice, and injustice. Time and again, okay, you have walked on the path of adharma, and why are you doing this? Right? And so he tries to kind of, buddhi cheppadaniki, he tries to give some buddhi to Duryodhana. But you see, Duryodhana is the response, the almost amazing confession that Duryodhana does at that point is probably one of the most important statements for every one of us. I'm sure many of you know what he said. What did he say? He says, these are the words of Duryodhana. Very, 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 very beautiful, very, very poignant, significant words. He says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrutti, janami adharmam nachame nivrutti, kenapi devena hridistitena yatha niyoktostmi tatha karomi. Okay, what does it mean? He says, Krishna, hang on. See, don't try to tell me dharma. I also went to the same university to which the Pandavas went. Okay, I also went to the same Dronacharya university. Okay, so I have also been taught the same things that the Pandavas have been taught. So, janami dharmam, I know what is dharma. But, nachame pravrutti, I don't have any inclination towards dharma. And then he says, janami adharmam, I know what is adharma. Nachame nivrutti, I don't feel like leaving it. Okay, he's saying it comes naturally. Adharma is coming naturally to me. Okay, pravriti is not coming, I mean, the dharmam is not coming naturally to me. And then he says, he blames, it's a beautiful confession, in fact. He says, Kenapi devene hridistitena. Some God inside, that is some power inside me, however it tells me, I do like that only. Yatha nyuktosmi tatha karomi. Okay, whatever it tells me. So you don't tell me, I have already somebody whom I'm listening to. Right? Now, dear brothers and sisters, this is our predicament 7,000 years later or 5,000 years later. In the 21st century, mankind is facing the same question. In fact, each and everyone, there's a little bit of Duryodhana in each and everyone, right? We know what is dharma, but we don't have, or there are times or there are occasions when, it just slips off, right? We know what is right, but we don't want to follow it. We know what is wrong, but we cannot give it up, right? So what is goodness, okay, is defined over here. Okay, what is he saying? That to follow, my ability to follow what is dharma, that is what defines goodness, right? And to stay away from adharma, right? Having said that, let's move on. Okay, Bhagawan very beautifully in Vidya Vahini, in fact, he says that the human being is actually a triputi. He is a triune of body, mind, and the Atma, the self, the real self. Atma simply means the self, right? Now, you may wonder, is only human beings a triune? No. Everything in this universe, in fact, even non-living beings have got a body, have got a mind, and have got an Atma. The Atma is there in everything. The mind also is in the form of conscious, which is in, for example, in a stone, there is almost zero consciousness. In a plant, there is quite a lot of consciousness. In animals, there's much more consciousness. And finally, in human being, it actually manifests or expresses itself, in its completeness, right? So we all have a body, we all have a mind, and we all have an Atma, right? So if that is not debatable, then let us move on. Okay, now, Swami is very beautifully trying to tell us that it is just the identification with one of these which leads to, the continuum that you are able to see on the screen. On one side, you have the demonic, on the other side, you have divinity, right? So all of us, our entire journey is to go from left to right, from being demonic to being divine. Now you will say, oh, hold on. How do you say I'm demonic? So Swami basically very beautifully defines what is demonic. He says, let us start with animal first. He says, anybody who identifies themselves only with the body, okay, they are animalistic. They are not an animal. You see, Swami is not putting down animal. Swami is saying Pashutvam, not Pashu. He's saying Pashutvam, that is animality, right? Or animalistic. So when we identify ourselves only as the body, and therefore the body becomes the focus of all our activities, then we are animalistic. If we identify ourselves only with the body and the mind, we think that we are only the body mind, then we become demonic. It's worse than animal. When we identify ourselves as the body, mind, and the Atman, we start to acknowledge the presence, the overriding presence or the undercurrent presence of the Atman, then we become a human, we become Manavatvam. And when that Manava, or when that force identifies itself only with the Atman and not with the body mind, then they become divine. The characteristic of divinity is to identify themselves only with the Atman, not with the body mind, right? Now, these are the four categories. All of us are somewhere along this way, right? And the whole idea of the transformation is basically to move from left to right. Okay, having said that, now let us see, this moving from left to right is basically spirituality, and so therefore let us see how Swami defines spirituality. So I hope that you are able to see this. Let me once again present. Are you able to see the video? You can give me a thumbs up if you are able to see the video. Yeah, all right.
అసలు ఆధ్యాత్మికం అంటే ఏమిటి?
What is spirituality?
ఆధ్యాత్మికం అనగా
Spirituality
తన
means
యందున్నటువంటి పశుత్వాన్ని హింసించి
first killing the animal quality,
తన యందున్న మానవత్వాన్ని దివ్యత్వంగా మార్చుకోవటమే ఇదే దివ్యత్వమైన ఆధ్యాత్మికం.
transferring the humanness, the human quality in you into the divine.
ప్రతి
into
మానవుని
the
ఎందుకు
divinity.
పశుత్వం ఉంటుండాలి.
There is animality in every man.
మొట్టమొదటి ఈ పశుత్వాన్ని మనం తింపుకోవాలి.
First we have to kill the bestial quality.
ఆ పశుత్వాన్ని చంపి
It has to be killed.
మన మానవత్వాన్ని దివ్యత్వంగా మార్చుకోవాలి.
And we have to transform the humanness, human
ఇది
quality
నిజమైనటువంటి
into the
యొక్క
divine.
ఆధ్యాత్మికము.
This is true spirituality.
ఆధ్యాత్మికం అనగా
Spirituality meant
ఆత్మను తెలుసుకోవటం కాదు,
not merely knowing self.
మన యందున్నటువంటి యొక్క ఈ పశుత్వాన్ని దూరం చేసి
We have to distance the animality
దివ్యత్వంగా మనం మార్చుకోవటమే నిజమైన ఆధ్యాత్మికం.
and becoming one with the divine is true spirituality.
Right? So as you can see, Swami is absolutely clear. It's probably one of the most comprehensive definitions that we have today, okay, which is what is spirituality as explained to us by Bhagawan, right? So what he's telling us is basically to move from left to right, and hence he's actually giving us a formula, right? Were you able to catch the formula? Let me give you a few seconds to identify from the diagram that we presented to you, which is demonic or animality on the left side and divine on the right side. There is a formula that is emerging. Are you able to envisage, or are you able to kind of get the formula that Swami is telling us? Think about it. Okay, so for those of you who have got, congratulations. For those of you who have not got, okay, here it is. Okay. Are you able to see? Yes. So what he is basically telling us that there is, being animal or being demonic is basically tamas, right? We know these three gunas, which is tamas, rajas and sattva. So pure sattva is divine, pure tamas is demonic, right? So what is he telling us? What is the transformation formula he is giving us? Is basically eradicate tamas, transform rajas, and nurture sattva, right? So he's saying transforming humanity into divinity, that is what is adhyatmic. So when we say spirituality, it is basically moving, removing our tamas and nurturing sattva, right? The reason why we thought we will present this to you is all of our human endeavors, especially you all wonderful media persons, this must be our idea to take spirituality to the world. You see, unfortunately, the conversations that we have in the media, the conversations we have on social media is in fact exactly the opposite, isn't it? We do not eradicate tamas. In fact, we nurture tamas. We eradicate sattva. Why? Because only that which is tamasic and rajasic sells, right? You see, our mind tends to go towards rajasic and tamasic, and therefore we feel, it is necessary to constantly put that out, right? The amount of negative news that we keep hearing about is far more than the positive news. In fact, there is far more positivity in the world than there is negativity. And that's exactly what Swami is trying to say. Nurture that goodness, nurture that sattva, right? And eradicate this animal quality, right? So I can see that I think one of the participants, Mr. Krishna Kumar, has raised his hand. Just let me very quickly in the next 5 minutes, I promise I'll complete this, and then we can, kind of get into the discussion. So basically what Swami is saying is, this is the formula in order to get morality in society, right? The 3-step formula is how to nurture sattva, that is through daiva priti. How to transform rajas, that is through papa bhiti. And thereafter, once we are able to have love for God, we are able to have fear for sin, automatically there will be morality, in society. Sanghaniti. You see, so I mean, it's a very, very straightforward formula that Bhagavan is giving us. Yes, it is difficult, but what the avatar comes to do is exactly this. He comes to nurture the love for God in our hearts. You see, unfortunately, Swami himself would say, these days there is Daiva Bhiti. We always call somebody God-fearing person. Swami is telling, no, you don't have to fear God. You have to fear sin, right? What you have to do with God is love God. You see, the moment you love God, why do you start fearing sin? Because that sin is not dear to God. And what is not dear to God? So the Papa Bhiti is basically causing displeasure to God. And you are scared of causing displeasure to your beloved one. And hence there is Papa Bhiti. And this is what leads to Sanghaniti, right? So at this point of time, I will stop because we can go on and on. But as I promised, let us just kind of contemplate on just these three and whatever we have, gone through thus far. I call upon Sudheer Bhaskar sir to give his thoughts, his insights, and thereafter we can open it out for any questions that you may have. Over to you, sir.
Silent to all. No, thank you. Amey, beautiful presentation. Very crisply communicated Swami's message of transformation. The point is, how do we build Daiva Priti, love for God? Many people will say that unless I experience God, then I will not be able to love God. If I'm not seeing God, how do I love God? And especially if that God is formless, it is even more difficult for us at that stage. So what is the best way of being able to do this exercise of having Papa Bhiti? And for that, the transformation starts because our first transformation to have Daiva Priti first. Yes, in our scriptures, our lives, if you see, at least in South India, we find that no, most of the families have some sort of a deity as their
Ishtadaivatam.
Ishtadeva, or a revered person whom they consider equal to God, and they would like to listen to him and then do it, whatever he says. And in the process, they feel that no, if he comes to know that no, I am following whatever he has said, then he'll be happy, and making him happy is the most important thing, because that is the one which gives me happiness. And happiness is a starting point for loving the person. Once you start experiencing that happiness, then you start loving the person, because you would like to experience that happiness continuously all through. And that would be possible only when you love the person continuously. And one of the things, actually, if you see so many discourses, one of the things Swami was always talking about is always look at everybody having a divinity. Because Swami said, I know I am divine. I know that you are divine. I know that I am divine, but you don't know that you are divine. This is where the differentiation is coming. So divinity is constant, but no, we don't find that what is the second part of Swami's statement, that we are also divine, is missing in our. So one of the first things to be done is, can we see the person who is there or whom we are interacting is divine himself? Like we said that now we have got an entity whom we revere, and we see him as a reflection or a representative of the Godhood. In the same way, every person who comes to us, because that person is the one who taught us a lot of things. He has taught us how to become good. What's the pathway to become good? What are steps to be good? What should be done? And he started possibly even guide if we want him to guide us. If that is the case, how long are we able to have access to him? Continuously, no. But can we experience that? And this is where Swami says that start seeing me in others. In every activity we do, can we see? That's why, for example, let us take Narayan Seva. Swami never said that, no, you do poor feeding. What Swami says? Swami says, do Narayan Seva. That means the person whom you are feeding, consider him as Narayana himself. I mean, example could be like, suppose you invite Bhagawan or some revered person to your house for lunch. And when he comes, with what amount of care, concern, and what you call reflection of your devotion to him, you are able to prepare items, serve him. Are we able to do the same thing when you do Narayan Seva? Every person whom we call this, we usher him inside with a little roughness and just sit in a line, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, we start giving instruction to the people as if they are. But suppose we consider, when Swami comes to the house, do you tell me where he should sit? How to sit? We don't, isn't it? Wherever he sits, we are happy. They know you provide one place and sees that place also, but he may like to sit in another location, on some other chair. Do we say, no, Swami, go sit there only? We don't, isn't it? In the same way, can we also consider the person whom we have invited for the feeding, we also be considered as God itself? That entity, the revered person. Can we think about that? And once you start seeing such a way, for example, I'm talking Narayan Seva, where we are. But suppose some of you are profession. And when you're in a profession, you're going to interact with people. Every person who comes, suppose you consider the person is a reflection of that particular revered person whom you have in mind. How will you be talking to him? How will you be listening to him? How will you try to interact and then try to see how best you can help him out? Can we do that? And that's why Swami says, if you start experiencing me in others, that's like Sarvantaryami. That means I become a reflection in him. And what is there in him is also in us. What is there in him and what is there in us, which is common? It is his Atma. So now we are saying that we are experiencing or considering that person has that Atma, and we are reflecting all our activities to that particular entity inside, not the physical form outside. You might not have shaven, you might not have taken bath, so on and so forth. It must be rat clothes, a lot of foul smell is coming out of him. You don't like, but still, suppose you consider him. Will all these things be coming your way to understand and see him? In the same way, if we are able to look at every person whom we interact or come across, then we start seeing the person, our behavior changes. Our behavior changes. So that's why if you see, if you have that affection for the person, there is a Daiva Priti, what automatically happens? Our conduct improves. And the conduct improvement is what? We let go of the negative and then adopt positive. That means we will not be doing things which are going to be harmful. Papa bhiti, that means we fear of sin. So you don't like to do that. For example, the same person, revered person who comes, would you like to say something or do something which will upset him? No, isn't it? In the same way, can we look at every person with whom we are interacting also in the same format, in the same mold? I thought if we do this, one of the things, which we can do it in daily basis with our own. And for that, a lot of effort is needed initially. And once you start feeling the joy of that particular experience, then it becomes a habit forming for us. And then we start loving everybody. And that's what Swami calls Paraspara Prema, mutual love. And when you have the mutual love, you're loving everybody. And whom are you loving? You're loving somebody who's inside. And who's inside is none other than Paramatma. And that's a Daiva Priti. Start with that feeling, then automatically it leads you not to do anything wrong. So you do Papa Bhiti, you leave the fear. So you leave all the negative things because it's going to upset the person. And once you do that, what happens? The last, Sanganiti. If everybody improves their performance, their behavior, their conduct, and the way they speak or do things for the betterment and not do something wrong, we got Sanganiti. morality in society. Everybody does this, but because the moment I reflect to do this with somebody, obviously he's going to do it to me, and possibly learn from this and do it somebody else with whom he interacts. So it is like a chain reaction which takes place. There's one of the logics, which I have tried and seen, and then we discussed. I mean, quite a few people who have done it have also been able to experience what I am trying to say. Okay, Sarah. Amey, I think there are some questions which somebody wanted to ask. Mr. Krishna Kumar.
Sairam, so at this point, we will open it out to anybody who may have any thoughts that you would like to share. As we mentioned, we'll try to keep this as an interactive session. And we're happy to hear your observations and your comments or any questions that you may have. You can also put it into the chat box.
Sairam, request all of you to use this time for a very meaningful discussion.
I would also like to add that you can be very forthright and make your observations or your comments. And also because when you ask, you may feel that, hey, am I asking the right type of a question? No, there's nothing called right question or wrong question. It's a question which gives you clarity. Obviously, a lot of others also will be having the same question possibly, and they also will get clarity. So please do not hesitate. Please ask what you feel.
So that this becomes, a useful session, because otherwise what could happen is that we will tell you experiences and we will tell you, our thoughts. But until, as Bhagawan very beautifully puts it, that the methodology for spiritual knowledge is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Right? So in Shravanam, what happens? We listen. We intently listen. But just listening is not good enough. That has to be followed with Mananam, which is contemplation. And usually when one contemplates, it will lead to some doubts, or it will raise some inner kind of questions that we will have. And there's nothing wrong in having questions, because that is how, you see, any of our scriptures have always been samvadam. That is, it's been a conversation between the Guru and the Shishya, whether it was Bhagavad Gita, whether it is any of the Upanishads, right, Kathopanishad or Brihadaranyaka Upanishad or any Upanishad, is always a conversation between the Guru and the Shishya. The Shishya asks the questions, right, and the Guru answers it. So therefore, that is the Mananam process, that is the contemplation, right? In fact, Krishna keeps on asking Arjuna throughout Gita, is there anything more that you have? Have all your doubts been fulfilled? And whenever, you see, just to trigger your thought, the question that Duryodhana put for not the question, but the statement that he made, that Janami Dharma, right? I know what is Dharma, I know what is Adharma. You see, the same sentiment was expressed by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, but in the form of a question. You see, Duryodhana never asked a question. He was so clear about his own, answer. But Arjuna had a question, and his question is also very, very pertinent. He says, Ata kena prayuktoyam papam chariti purushaha. He says that the meaning is, impelled by what do we commit sin? What is it? We know that something is not good and something is good, and yet something compels us to do something wrong. What is it? Right? So it is a similar sentiment which is expressed, but Arjuna asks it as a question, and therefore you get the answer from the Lord. So therefore, this questioning or mananam or contemplation is a very integral part of any spiritual development. Right? And obviously the last is nididhyasanam, which is to put it into, assimilate, digest it by expression through our day-to-day life. Right? So once again, this is just a humble request for any of you who may have any question. And if you don't, then we have 10 minutes, and I will probably tell you a story of a transformation, and we can end it.
This
Sairam, sir.
yes,
Sairam.
please come.
Yeah, I am Srinivas from Hyderabad. I would like to bring it to the notice one event with Swami. There was an editor for the Blitz. It was a weekly.
Yes, Mr.
Used to
Karanjia.
come Karanjia. So he used to write negative about Swami, and somehow he was asked to see Swami and experience the divinity. When he once visited and had dialogue with Swami, he has become a staunch devotee of Swami, and then that is the message I would like to bring it to the chair and then audience. In a brief.
Yes.
Yes, sir. If you have any information about that, kindly share with the media persons. That is
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, it's a very, very well documented story.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Karanjia was a communist, so in many ways he was an atheist, an agnostic.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and he wanted to, the phenomenon of Swami was spreading far and wide, and so he wanted to take a very, very objective take on this, and so he came. But you see, even Mr. Karanjia, when he came to meet Bhagawan, he came with an open mind. Right? That is very, very important. Means he did not come with a sense that I am going to, whatever this person says, I am going to rubbish it off. You see?
Yes,
so he came with an open mind to have an objective idea of what Bhagavan was. And of course, needless to say, the omniscient Lord knows exactly what levers to pull, right, to make the breakthrough into this person. And of course, what followed was a beautiful conversation between Karanjia and Swami, once again, where Karanjia was asking questions and Swami was answering them. That has also been well documented. One can go on the net and one can see that conversation between Swami and Karanjia. There are some excellent, beautiful answers that that Swami gave to to Karanjia.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And that book was published and it is not available now in the market, but it's there in the website, I believe. So,
right. So, in fact,
you,
I am just opening, in fact, and I will share with you. I'll just share my screen with you, and you will get an idea of the kind of questions that was asked by Swami. Sorry, asked by Mr. Karanjia and answered by Swami.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So if you can see my screen.
Sir.
Yeah. So this is a particular this is a website on which that entire interview between Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and the senior editor Mr. R.K. Karanjia to the Blitz magazine. It happened in 1976.
Yes, sir. 76.
September.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
So he has asked Swami all kinds of questions. He says, at the outset, Swamiji, we would like to know something about your triple incarnation, past, present, and future. Right? So Swami explains that. Then why does God take a human form? Right? Then what is the message of the triple incarnation?
Yes, sir.
So that entire that interview is over here. If you want, I can copy this and I can put it in the chat box so that all of you can have a look.
Please, sir.
Yeah, I have put the article in the chat box. Yes. Any other questions? Sairam.
Sairam, this is a question for all. What can be the reason why we are attracted more to the negative things and not to the positive? And secondly, why we are doing things which we know that it is not correct, but still we are doing? What can be the reason? And what is the method by which we can solve this problem in our mind?
Yeah, wonderful question, sir. I think Sathya Kumar had something to say. Maybe we could just listen to him.
Sathya?
Yes, Mr. Sathya Kumar.
Sairam, Sathya?
Just I want to my experience, which happened 3 weeks before, 3 weeks just before it happened, because while I was watching YouTube and what our Srinivasa Rao shared with us, he was just mentioning the interview between
Mr. Karanji and Swami.
Karanji and Swami, and that was after that he published a book, God Lives in India. So it was a book, and last, as you already aware, I am from Kerala. Actually, we do have so many the political movements in Kerala, especially based on Marxist Communist Party. So 3 weeks back, soon after Swami's birthday, that is 99th birthday, I happened to watch quite occasionally. I used to watch all the these videos, which is being this coming this or being shared in YouTube, and that was a wonderful interview between a Marxist leader, but now he is not in the front line of all this propaganda, but he's a staunch follower of Marxism. And he was interviewed with a person. He is a journalist, but he knows about Swami. But this person, he was well informed with the Divyangjan Seva. No? Recently, we published some news regarding that the Divyangjan Seva that is going to be started using that app. You have to register. It is going to be covered with covered for near about 1 lakh people. So this person, he was highlighting all these points. In addition to that, this person, he is quite famous for his Marxian thought, but he was he was what we can say, he was a spokesperson. He became a spokesperson for Swami's mission. And next time, next point he was raising was regarding our super specialty hospitals. You cannot see a hospital or 2 hospitals, one is Puttaparthi and one is in Whitefield. There you cannot have any cash counters. So likewise, he was always giving his views, very positive views on Swami, though he was still he believes in Marxism. It was a wonderful interview in Malayalam, and this journalist, he was knowing all these things, but without waiting for his questions, he used to give Swami's ideals in a very, very interesting way, in a very by putting all these examples. So what our brother Srinivasa Rao just mentioned, that that will be listened by so many persons, because they are from they may be an atheist, or they may be they are not believing all these godly incarnations or godly personalities. So likewise, with Swami's blessings, these types of visuals are getting slowly coming to the public. So it was a nice experience, because during this Swami's birthday celebration, and most of the newspapers in Kerala, 2 or 3 newspapers, they gave more emphasis on that Divyangjan program. They published photographs of Andhra Pradesh governor who was distributing that, and these have been very much went to the notice of all these persons. So gradually, whatever the positive things happening, or nowadays people are just listening. They are not at all listening. They became the what we can say. They are speaking for Swami. It's a wonderful experience. This I wanted to mention when brother mentioned asked this. This happened 2 or 3 weeks back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Satyakumar. I mean, lovely explanation we have given about the incident which happened. At least I have been able to correlate to that particular one because I also heard about that situation. And also somebody had mentioned to us in one of our programs that it happened in Kerala and how that thing happened. I mean, you can see that no, there are many methods Swami adopts for bringing about transformation or to touch each person. But there will always be somebody who is an instrument in that. There will be one person, for example, Karanjake coming to Swami was at the initiative of Mr. Indulal Shah. Because of course, they all thought that no, somebody who's so negative, who day in and day out, every week writes so much of negativity about all these Godhood and others. If such a person is able to have an input which will make him think that no, possibly his understanding has not been adequate enough, that's why he has been doing that type of an activity, also it will make a difference. Of course, he took Swami's permission to bring him. But when he suggested to him, can you be a little more open and then come and check for yourself and not listen or believe in whatever others are saying? I may say something, somebody else may say something, but that could be based on their own biases also. But why don't you experience it yourself? That was one of the things which actually clinched the issue for Kanjike to come and have an interview with Swami. Because Swami spent a lot of time, I think 2 times or so he interacted with him. I think 3 times. Or I think 2 times he interacted with him and gave him enough time between the 2 interactions so that he will assimilate certain things which Swami has said and also go forward to ask other questions which will actually reinforce whatever he has been able to get first round. That is the difference. That is the difference. And to that extent, I would like to congratulate Mr. Kanjike because he was open enough to and was so frank enough to admit immediately after when he went back. In fact, I saw the first week Brits which came out after his interview, and there a lot of people wrote letters to him saying that, now, how the hell can you go to such a person? We don't know what magic is going to do on you and how he's going to transform you and all that. All the negative things which can possibly happen, all of the things he gave it to them. They had expressed. He said, no. When I'm talking about certain things and putting it in my paper, in my magazine, I want to know for myself and what it is and then stand by it. That's why you can see after that, every session, every paper, every week which came out, there was one section he talked about these aspects. And that's the greatness of him also. That's how he got transformed. And then he started almost like a spokesperson for Swami and for his mission. And that is one beauty which took place at that particular point. So what you said also is similar incident. How the possibly the journalist was able to take care of certain things which will allow him. So what I'm just trying to say is that possibly when Mr. Mukund, Professor Mukundan wanted to have this type of 4 groups and have interaction, one of the things when he mentioned to us, what we felt was, yeah, it's a nice way because each one of these groups is interacting one section of society and they can influence that particular society by their own convictions and their own observation and then possibly their own transformation behavior. That was the reason why we said, okay, we'll also do it for you. So that's how we have taken up this particular task. And that's why we are trying to give those inputs which will become useful for you first. I don't know how many of you have had interaction with Swami or have seen Swami or come to Puttaparthi or read or listened to any of his discourses. We are not very sure. But if you are first time coming and you have come because you have that openness which was there for you, you can see the type of inputs which are being given by different people from the organization and the institutions, which will help you to get that clarity and so that you can be an instrument in the transformation of the society by yourself changing. Like I said, If I don't change myself, can I, as a faculty member, stand in front of the students and say, no, you should follow discipline, you should do this, you should do that? I'm the most indisciplined faculty member at the college. Will anybody listen to me? So first of all, as Amey put it very clearly, everybody has listening. They listen to it. Nitidhyasana and last stage is what is important. Practicing. First, getting convinced that when you internalize it, and then practicing, and which is going to help you, not only because it's not just the words which you use, the others are seeing, listening, but they are also seeing that non-visual, non-verbal communication you do by your own conduct and behavior at times when you're not actually talking. And that's the difference. That is the difference. We don't pretend to be somebody when we are talking to and be somebody else all other time. No, you can just make out that very clearly. That is pretending. So, but otherwise, if I'm doing conviction, you can just see how my conviction gets carried to in my discussions with you and communication, and how that's going to make an impact on you. So that's the reason why I said that the media persons are so important, because as you said, there's a fourth pillar, and these are the people who can actually influence the Sanghaniti, the morality in society, bring it in calmness, equanimity, and also being tolerant enough for the rest of the other communities and other sections so that they're able to harmoniously live together and grow together. Just imagine if none of these tribes were there, how much together we would have grown each other, including bring up all those people who are below the poverty line and also bring them up. And why it happened, that's a different session we can have for discussion. Why such a thing happened at all in the history of any country. But the thing is it not possible? It is possible. It is possible. And that's the reason why Swami thought that he'll also talk to this, because when he asked, Swami, why did you choose somebody who was so negative? He said, if such a person, if you understand, he's the best person who can communicate with all others. That was the reason.
Definitely, people will listen to those persons because they are having the background of all this atheism.
Correct.
And they are, definitely it will be there. And
more than that, they know what you call what in politics they call the pulse of their audience.
Yeah, correct.
They know the pulse of the audience, so they know how to strike their heart, the strings, in such a way it resonates with them what the person is saying.
Yeah.
So that's the basic reason, sir. Anybody else, please? Nothing else, I think,
Yes, sir. I think we can wrap up the session.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your patience. And we will wrap up the session with Shanti Mantram.
Does Mukundan want to say something before we close?
Yeah, 1 minute. Sairam Sudheer Bhaskar sir, Sairam Amey Deshpande. We take this opportunity to express our love, gratitude, and everything to both of you. And we express our gratitude to all who have participated in this meeting. And very beautiful messages on, Deva Priti, Pava Bidi, Sankarniti, from Pashuttam to Daivatam, all these beautiful messages of Bhagawan were shared with us. And let us imbibe that and let us live according to that. May Bhagawan bless all of you. Once again, thanking you all. Sai Teja, we will go for the conclusion, Shanti Mantra. Sairam.
Sairam, sir. Sairam, sir. Shanti. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलो श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय। साईराम, साईराम।
Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Right, I'm silent, all of you.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.